Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. The dynamic duo here is back. That's right. That would be myself, Joe Kuzma, your host, and I don't know if this is is this your costume or I don't know. He's showing his secret identity here. A one boy wonder, Mr. Brian E. Roach. Oh, I know. I'm the boy. I'm the young man to your elder self.
Yes.
Senor Roach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. My wrist is healing, and I'm feeling better.
That's a good thing, man. I mean, that's gotta suck. You know what?
It's got a lump. Look at that. It's got a lump.
I know you were talking about the whole Terminator thing. Is that going to be permanent? The lump? Is that always? I could call you Lumpy.
No, I don't know. I got to find out. It's just very annoying because no one told me there would be lumps.
You know, we could go back to yet another Bill Murray reference here, which is starting to become a thing on this program. When I think of Lumpy, I think of the movie Scrooged.
Absolutely. The greatest Christmas movie of all time.
That's right, buddy. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's hard. I like Home Alone, too. I can't argue. And my kid wants to be left home alone in order to maybe find some wet bandits. We referred to ourselves as the wet bandits once before as well as an introduction, just not the sticky bandits. But
right.
I digress. I got a question for you to head off this whole program. Where were you or what were you doing 1 year ago on this very day?
I don't know. What's the day? Oh, okay.
February 22nd, 2020.
I don't know what the hell I was. I'm lucky I remember what I was doing yesterday. I don't know.
I don't even know what I was doing a few minutes ago. I was just trying to contact you. What were we talking about otherwise?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I have maybe a way to find out what I was doing. Let me see.
You got to look on the calendar. Well, while you look that up.
Every time that there's a special event in my life, apparently, or just photos or something, my phone tells me this is a year ago today.
Oh,
I have nothing. So apparently it was a lame day a year ago.
You know what? Now you're going to make me look up the Facebook memories or the Google photo memory. I don't even know either. You know, I'm asking this question, and you know what? Heck if I know. I'm in the same boat here, man. Let's see. February 20th, 2020. Let's see here. No, I made a big bowl of popcorn for the kid, and apparently we had the kitten because I have some pictures of him. He's already over a year old, so there wasn't a whole lot going on in my little world either. I was recovering from an injury similar like you are right now. You doing rehab for the wrist too? Because I was in rehab back at this point too after shattering my ankle at a trampoline park with the kiddo. So,
no, I'm not really rehabbing in the sense of some prescribed physical therapy. They didn't give me any. They just basically said do this a lot.
Yeah,
well, for those of you only listening, I'm just flexing my fingers.
Yeah, he needs like a stress ball or something.
Yeah, and then you just do what I'm allowed to do anything I want as long as it doesn't hurt.
There was an actual point to mentioning all this, believe it or not, because 1 year ago today, Ben Roethlisberger was in rehab, and that is the first time the Steelers produced the video, published it on Twitter, set the whole Twitterverse on fire.
Because he was
throwing a football, yes.
There you go.
Just one single arm motion. That's all the more we got. It was like 10 seconds long, but it was enough to say, holy crap, he's going to come back from this thing bigger, better, stronger than ever. And now you fast forward a year now, and then everybody still wants to get rid of him just like they did last year. But, you know, me and Noah talked about that a little bit. What's your thoughts here, Brian? I mean, I'm saying it's still Ben Roethlisberger. I know it might not be Ben Roethlisberger 2014, but still, it's not like you could do far, far worse in the NFL than having the 2020 version of Ben Roethlisberger heading into 2021.
I will say what I think I have been saying all along. If Ben can come back at a deal that is the right deal, he can't come back at the deal he's on. It's just everybody agrees with that. But if it all works out, I have no problem. I would rather see Ben come back and take one last shot at it than have to endure a year of Mason.
Oh, come on. Mason's coming back, man. They're going to give him another contract because they're going to be in a Minnesota Vikings situation if they don't. Well, I anticipate Ben's getting extended because you can't restructure him. I've said that a few times.
Right, you can't. Yeah, extension,
So so he's probably there for 22 as well, but I mean Haskins and Rudolph both are on basically 1 year right now.
Yeah.
Haskins has the 1 year deal period and Mason on the final year of his rookie deal. So like I said, the Minnesota Vikings here a few years ago had Teddy Bridgewater. I almost said Sam Cassell. Wow, that's a completely different sport. Sam Bradford, and I'm missing the other guy that's been Case Keenum. Bouncing around everywhere, and they ended up with none of them. They blew $96 million on Kirk Cousins, and look what that's done for them. And I know a lot of people are like, hey, Ben's making this much money. I wish the media heads would get it right. They only save like $19 million. That other money is already accounted for, dead in the water. There's nothing else, but they need the wiggle room because of the cap, the way the cap situation is. And this is, this was anticipated. Ben knows it. His agent knows it. The organization knows it. This isn't like some this just came out of the blue. This was always going to be a thing that could only be done right now, like leading up to, the March whatever date that I still was too lazy to look up since the last show when they start the league year. So anyways, so I mean, we're on board with that. I mean, the worst case scenario of Ben is completely noodle-armed, old, and awful. I still think he's better than quite a few of the alternatives that are out there in the NFL. I think everyone just thinks everyone is like this top-flight quarterback. Yeah, you're just going to – what kind of guy are you going to get for 19?
That's not Sam Bradford. Yeah, who the hell plays for the Jets? I can't remember what
Sam Darnold.
Darnold, yeah, Sam somebody. Frodo Samwise. Samwise Ganji, whatever. I don't – all these pie in the sky ideas. Oh, we're going to trade for Deshaun Watson. Well, what are you going to give up? Everything in the universe? You're going to trade for, Darnold. What are you going to give up? I mean, it's crazy. You're not going to do any of those things, especially, for they can't fit Deshaun Watson's cap number into their deal. You're just as bad off as you would be with Ben, money wise. You're not. Yeah, worse. And so what are you going to do? Look, you either ride the year out with Mason Rudolph and go back to the days of Kent Graham. And, endure what you got to endure. You try and trade up in the draft to get a quarterback if you think you like one. I don't want to do that. Let me just state that clearly. I
think you said it about 30 times and then back again in the comments section from the mock draft insanity.
No. And then, it's so your best option in my view is for Ben to come back for one more year and see what you can do. We'll just see. And then you worry about the successor. Cause it's unless they get really lucky, there's going to be some lean years, folks. Going to be some lean years.
Yeah, and there's still some folks, for the most part in the comments section agreed, and I think we'll get to some of these things. A lot of people are saying, reading between the lines, like, the Ben thing's out of control. I got someone here, and I don't know, is it old Allen? I've been watching this podcast for a season and a half now. I'm getting a little sick of these guys chastising the fan base for speculating. For the most part, the viewers and listeners here, you're not the guys we're talking about. Like 99% of the folks that are paying attention to this show, you're not the guys we're talking about. I go on these Facebook groups and I know a few of the names. That's how bad some of the comments get. In fact, let me bring this one up just so Alan. But anyways, he was saying a little sick. These guys chastising fan base for speculating. If someone's opinion is so bad, I generally don't lend it any precious time in my headspace. I guess it bothers me because I think the media should punch up, not down. But yeah, I mean, I have to address the J.J. Watt stuff. I mean, what else do we have to talk about right now, including this stuff with Ben? You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's lean times, you know what I mean, until we get some real news here. I wish I could tell you it was any different, but this is the way the cycle works with the football season. But some of the folks, let me tell you about the one I was dealing with this weekend. Doesn't like Mike Tomlin at all. Overachieved, man. Overachieved, just totally terrible. But they're a Panthers fan. They're also a Steelers fan, too, in one of the Steelers groups. So, I know, shock face. So you're going to come into the Steelers group and then tell us how the Panthers got to the Super Bowl with a quarterback who throws sidearmed. Now, this threw me for a loop. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, Cam Newton won MVP that year. He had I don't know, 50, he counted for 50 touchdowns by himself, passing and rushing. They weren't talking about Cam Newton. In fact, they weren't even talking about when Mike Tomlin was a head coach yet. They were going back to the days of Jake Delhomme.
Yeah.
But just you invalidate your argument entirely if you're going to be talking about what have the Panthers done recently besides keep recycling coaches and being mediocre and recycling quarterbacks and everything. Come on, man. They had a top overall pick, too, with Cam, and they got to the dance once, and it just shows you how hard it is to win in the NFL. And it's like, that's going to be your argument against Mike Tomlin? Really? Oh, and the New England Patriots didn't have a number one wide receiver. Troy Brown might have something to say about that. Randy Moss might have something to say about that. You know, come on, how much of a short memory are you? You're just making. They didn't have a top running back, which is going to be our argument here real soon. They don't need a top running back. I mean, they rode Blunt to historic proportions a few times here or there, but that team always did running back by committee for the most part, aside from who'd they have? They had Curtis Martin early on and maybe Corey Dillon, but they've gone away from that for the most part. They have like a platoon of guys. If you ever play fantasy football or try and do the DraftKings or FanDuel stuff, good luck. You don't ever pick somebody from New England. You might – if it's, points per reception or something, you might take a stab at somebody like a James White. But, I mean, come on. It's preposterous. New England won without a number one wide receiver. As Randy Moss is putting up historic numbers with Tom Brady. It's just the most ludicrous thing. And Jake Delhomme, just stop. Mr. NFL Europa or whatever. Played for the Browns for a spell there, too. So that's just one of the other names and faces that were there. So, anyways, Brian, I got to talk about this.
I want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
I don't criticize the fan base. I just criticize stupid people.
Well, that's fair. And we don't get
sorry. I think for the most part, the Steelers fan base is a pretty educated group. But as with all groups, stupid people stand out because they're loud and noisy, and they say stupid things, and it's annoying. So I just criticize stupid people. The fan base itself is very knowledgeable for the most part.
Yeah, well, I think it's more the entitled folks.
That's
they don't...
my suck up of the day.
Yeah, I don't, and I really don't think. Obviously, the people who are here are listening because we're not, full of hot takes, clickbait type stuff. Usually, when we're discussing these things about some of the fan takes or opinions, it's some of the extreme stuff. And I understand not everybody has to agree with us either. I'm not necessarily saying that me and Brian don't agree. It's like, you don't think Mason Rudolph will be here next year. I think they'll still probably try. I think they like him enough that they're probably going to give him a chance, and that's fine. But there's just some preposterous things like Deshaun Jackson saying goodbye to Philadelphia, and he's like 33 years old or something. And it's like everyone comes out of the woodwork or out from under a rock for any free agent or guy that, had some modicum of success in the NFL. And it's like, that's the guy. And everybody's jumping all over Leonard Fournette and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that's preposterous. I think most of the folks that are here with us are with us, as we're not making fun of anyone listening. We're making fun of, all the other people together. So, hee ha ha side by side here. So, as I say all of that, and I'm talking about someone's opinions and people's opinions, I'm going to make fun of the running back number one pick thing here in the draft. Hey, we need something to talk about, so have fun with us here.
Okay.
It's not going to be that much fun, but I think it's not even so much the prospects that are here. I think I'm more annoyed that everybody's like, Najee Harris, the professor and you guys. You're not even thinking Najee Harris is
the top
maybe
running
top
back.
3 or top 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, from what I'm seeing so far, and we'll see what happens at the combine, this could be like another Eddie Lacy type thing. And everybody wanted Eddie Lacy, and then when they picked Bell, who's this guy? Who's this bum? And then, you hindsight's 20/20, as it always is. And that's the case with most of the first round or first 2 rounds. I'm not even that high on guys that are taken in round 2. Now, round 2 last year so far for 1 year body of work, we don't know what that's going to look like over 3-4 years over the course of a full rookie contract. Guys like J.K. Dobbins, for example. But I'm going to throw that aside. We don't know enough about them yet. And a lot of guys went in round 2 in last year's draft versus any of the previous drafts that there were. And I'm going to go way back, I think. I think I'm going to go back to 2010 just to kind of prove this point, because I think this is about where the Steelers, and they had used a pick on Mendenhall, top overall 2011, maybe? I got to go back and look now. No, the 2011 would have been when he was on his way out. I'm sorry. Let's see here. 2008,
6.
No, it wasn't 6. That's too far back. Let's see. I didn't mean it so sternly. 6 was Holmes. 8. You're right. 8, because he didn't really play that year, even though they went to the Super Bowl. I think he got hurt as well.
Broke his shoulder. Ray Lewis broke his shoulder. Or something.
Yeah, it was still, and that's another great point there. Even when they first last used the top pick on a running back, now he played 5 years in Pittsburgh. He had two seasons over 1,000 yards. 2011, he got a little close, but obviously his best year. And he had problems with securing the football at points too, where that kind of, takes you off the field or whatever. But he had 3 fumbles his second season. That's what I was looking at here, even though he had 1,108 yards. And he was a receiving threat for the most part, too. Not as much as we're used to right now, but more than we were used to with, Jerome Bettis. I don't know. Did they throw the ball to Jerome very often? Nah, maybe more to, the run or the fullbacks, like a Dan Kreider or somebody like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, we went way back. I was only going to go back to starting with 2010, and I know some people are thinking, well, what about Christian McCaffrey? There's a couple exceptions to this rule, but I don't think that there's anything. You already mentioned, I think, something about a center. We've been talking offensive line. I think a lot of people think a running back's going to magically fix the offense, where I think it's offensive line. I think it's all these coordinators and position coaches they're bringing in too. It's going to be a whole different wipe the slate almost clean. We're not wanting to get rid of Ben yet, but that still could be on the table too.
Yep.
So 2010. Some interesting. These are some real good throwback names. We should really be doing this on Thursday for a throwback Thursday. You got. Remember some? Do you remember the first of? Well, it doesn't rhyme. February. Anyways, CJ Spiller, Ryan Matthews. Yeah. There's a guy who couldn't stay healthy. Javid Best, concussion problems. Dexter McCluster, who was kind of like Dree Archer, wide receiver type. Toby Gerhart, Ben Tate, who had a minute in Pittsburgh too. Montario Hardesty went in round 2. Those guys went round 2. So it was Spiller, Matthews, and Best, and then the others went in round 2. And I mean, I'm not looking for 10-year players at running back. That's very rare. Obviously, all those guys were gone. But I mean, you could tell how distant of a memory a lot of that is. Even thinking Ben Tate, he was playing kind of second fiddle to Arian Foster in Houston, and he finally got his kind of payday or whatever, and he went to go to Cleveland and didn't do well. Not that that's surprising, but didn't do anything there, and that's because they signed him later on, a couple years later, because Hardesty didn't do anything either. That was just around the time that Peyton Hillis had the one-year wonder season in Cleveland and ended up on the cover of John Madden Football. So 2011, let's see, Mark Ingram, who's still around, Ryan Williams. Look that name up. Shane Vereen, Michael LaShore, and Daniel Thomas. And the best back in this draft was probably DeMarco Murray, who was taken in the 3rd round by the Cowboys. 2012 is another favorite of mine. Can't miss pick here. Trent Richardson, who's now going to play, and I didn't even know that Mexico had professional football. But that's where he's going now after he took the the XFL by storm and the Alliance American Football. I can't remember which one. He's been bouncing around some. Hey, all the more power.
Hey, he's trying to get paid. Whatever.
Well, I don't know if it's a money situation or a love of the game, but either or. Hey,
either or.
The hustle. Hey, I applaud it, man. I applaud the hustle there. So Trent Richardson, Doug Martin, David Wilson, who had significant injuries there too with the Giants, and that kind of was that started the downward spiral of that franchise. They haven't really recovered from a couple of really bad drafts there where players didn't pan out or got hurt. If you remember Victor Cruz and the salsa dance, he was never quite the same either. He was an electric player for a long time. Yeah, another guy the fan base wanted the Steelers to take a look at, and I was like, this ship has kind of sailed, unfortunately. It sucks when you get hit with an injury bug and you don't come back quite the same. That was Isaiah Peed. He actually had a minute with the Steelers too. I don't know that he ever saw any real action, and I think he ended up getting hurt or cut or something, but there was somebody, they brought him in. This was around the time they were still trying to get a running back. I want to say he was in that mix somewhere around that period, along with Felix Jones, if you remember Felix Jones too. Okay, and LaMichael James rounds out 2012. So Trent Richardson, the muscle hamster, who I guess he hates that nickname, Doug Martin, David Wilson, Isaiah Peed, LaMichael James. I mean, none of those really worked out at all. Ingram, I think Ingram's lasted so long just because he was kind of in a committee situation with the Saints, and then the same thing with the Ravens, and now he's just north of 30 years old too, and probably on his way out. You just don't last very long at the skill positions usually when you start to hit your 30s, running back, wide receiver, particularly. We have the draft class with Le'Veon Bell, 2013. He wasn't even the first guy taken. It was Gio Bernard, who's still hanging around. But let's not forget Monty Ball, Eddie Lacy, and Kristen Michael.
And how they were so angry we didn't take Eddie Lacy. How the fan base was angry.
Wasn't there I thought Lacy had like maybe a knee or some type of durability concerns even coming out of college, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Well, Bell was one of these guys that was going to want to reset the market, if you remember. And after he left, he played 17 games for the Jets, including a couple from this past season, for a total of 863 yards and 5 touchdowns. He had another 500 receiving with another touchdown. That's almost just one game over a full season, especially if we expand now to 17 from 16. Paying $52 million on that contract for a whopping 6 touchdowns over about a year and a half.
It's like a little under $1 million a touchdown.
Yeah, I forget how much of this he cashed in on, but I remember quite a bit of it was, as he wanted, guaranteed or whatever.
Yep.
And, let's see. Free agency and the draft, there's just so many guys. Let me see. Was this the first 2 rounds since 2013? Because I don't go through every single one of them, but this goes to show you, even back when Bell was taken, they were starting to say how guys were being devalued. First 2 rounds, okay? Bishop Sankey, Jeremy Hill, Carlos Hyde, Todd Gurley, okay, for a little bit, a first-round pick, Melvin Gordon as well, and Melvin Gordon is, but would you be paying whatever Denver's paying right now? I mean, you see the Chargers did just as well with Austin Eckler. TJ Yeldon, there's a guy who never really got much traction, nor did Amir Abdullah. Ezekiel Elliott's kind of stuck in a rut right now, and I will concede that maybe part of that is not having the quarterback there, having Dak Prescott or whatever might be some of his success. But look where they took him. We're talking like, top number 3 overall, number 4, something like that. Derrick Henry, okay. There's a guy that's definitely devalued when it came to his draft value, and they had DeMarco Murray at the time. They didn't even need to take Henry, so that was kind of even a luxury pick for the Titans. And you see and that was a slow start too. They finally got.
He's a rarity. He's a rarity at the way this goes because he's improved rather than gotten worse.
Started out pretty sharp and then went down as Christian McCaffrey. Now, he just missed quite a bit of time, too, being banged up. So you're going to invest this pick, and maybe the guy ends up having the same kind of issues as James Conner. You just don't know, especially at that position. Delvin Cook, he's missed time, too. Pretty solid pick, okay. But look where these guys are going. Doesn't Cook like a top 10, too? I bet you if I look, he probably is. Joe Mixon, another guy who's been banged up as well. I think he's still a solid back. I think he's good, a very good fit for Cincinnati. He's a 3-down guy. Saquon Barkley, number 2, number 3, the tops overall. I mean, it's either they're surefire or they're not, because now you start, Rashad Penny, Seattle Seahawks.
Pretty penny.
Sony Michel for the New England Patriots. Nick Chubb. I thought that was a mistake, him going as late as he did, like almost pick 50 or something. I don't know. Or top of the second round. I don't remember where the Browns, somewhere, they were drafting somewhere in there. Ronald Jones, okay. Kerryon Johnson. Darius Geis, well, he kind of screwed the pooch off the field there. Yeah. Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, yes. Ronald Jones is the interesting one because even with the Super Bowl team, they leaned on like Fournette. They brought in LaShawn McCoy. They still have another guy, Keyshawn Vaughn, that they had drafted there. I can't figure out if they like Rojo or not. Josh Jacobs, yeah, okay, great. Miles Sanders, man, the Eagles did him a disservice, did they not? And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who looked like he was going to light the world on fire. Only first-round pick from the last year's draft, at pick 32, mind you. The reason I'm really saying this is do you want the Steelers to take some of these names with their first-round pick, or do you think these guys bleed out into the second round? We still have DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, and A.J. Dillon as the rest of those guys, most of that last year's draft class, as far as first and second-round picks. That's where I'm at. A lot of people say, pick 24 or whatever it is, Najee Harris. I'm sitting here like, no, let somebody else make that mistake for us, and maybe you could find some round 2. I may be more amicable to that, especially if they get a tackle or a center. Round 1, surefire guy, maybe it slips a little bit. I think that's where they need to have their focus, obviously. Anywhere else, I'm probably going to be like, some people want a quarterback, but running back, I think, is just too much of a luxury for the Steelers, particularly first-round pick.
Yeah, Zach and I talked about this in the mock draft insanity piece, and both of us, if you don't disregard the insanity part of it, right? At 24, it's where they're at right now. It's offensive line. It's offensive line. Period. Shut up. That's it. Unless there's some kind of fall beyond the pale where the talent is just too great. Micah drops down. And just slides to 24. Okay, now you got to make a decision. But other than that, it's offensive line, unless there's a run. There's a run, and now they're all gone. Because people have been talking about this and saying, oh, this draft is really deep at the offensive line. No, it's really not. There's some quality players, yes, but at some point in time, you got to reinvest. Remember, David DeCastro, first round pick. Yes, I love the Kevin Dotson pick. Kevin Dotson was a steal where he was, and there was a reason he was a steal. He didn't get invited to the combine, which was a slight against him, and his draft stock dropped because of it. That's not going to happen every year. Lord knows what's going to happen this year with no combine at all. But the guys that you still need to make those investments at some point, and this is the year that they need to make it. So a running back, really? Look, I understand folks thinking that's what we got to have. And I agree we have to upgrade the running back position, but Javonte Williams, the guy from North Carolina, is an upgrade to the running back position, fits what the Steelers do better, and isn't going to be a first-round pick. And in my mind, is a better fit than Najee Harris anyway, period. Might be an overall better back than Najee Harris, period.
Najee Harris is too much, I think, of the rosy, fond memories of Jerome Bettis plowing through Brian Urlacher.
But I mean, he's not even that back. You know what I mean? You talk about James Conner and his style. If he continues this, if Harris continues that kind of style through the NFL, you're looking at the same issues. Potential injury, potential other things. It's not. You can't make that kind of investment. Think of it this way. You want to invest your first round pick in a guy who maybe has 3 good years or a guy who has 10?
No, you definitely, if you're looking at the future, needing a quarterback, whoever that might be, you need to put a wall around that guy. Someone right here in the comments, who was it? I'll give some Steelers Pittsburgh. Original name. Thank you.
There you go.
I wish I could say like Bob from Sheboygan or something, you know what I mean? But, or Timothy from Sewickley. One train of thought floating around the internet, Steelers have to trade up for a QB. I'm sure you've seen it. I can't shake my head enough. Ask Joe Burrow how not having a good O-line in place first worked out for him. Exactamundo.
Yeah.
We said that last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was going into the draft. You knew they were going to go Burrow. There was no doubt about it. But what are the other pieces they're going to put around? And they've tried too, and some of those haven't worked out. So we're not saying necessarily this draft, like the top overall first round pick, will necessarily work out for the Steelers. They'll get a chance. They want to do something. They've already said, Zach Banner, I guess they're high on bringing back and have compete over at the left tackle position. I'm fine with that. He's much in the same mold as Alejandro Villanueva. Will it work out? I don't know. It could be scary having it's the same exact thing there in the same spot, but now Marquise Pouncey leaves you a pretty big hole. Will they look at somebody? We talked about some of these free or to-be free agents. Alex Mack is getting up there in age, but who's to say he wants to leave Atlanta? He might be. They might bring him back. It might be something that's a good deal still for him. Finish out his career with the only other team he's played with besides Cleveland, and maybe he's already put roots down there. I don't know if he's got kids in schools who like their teachers and stuff like that. There's so many other decisions that happen there, and I'm sure. You look at now, not that necessarily Pittsburgh is the high cost of living or tax situation or something like that, but I always think about like Matt Stafford had this palatial home up in just around the Detroit suburbs. I'm trying to think which one it was, but it was like a several $1 million home. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to get you an apartment in L.A., dude. But he's a multimillionaire anyway, so it's like,
he don't care.
And then Jared Goff's just like, man, I can make these paychecks stretch a little more. You know what I mean? Like, anyways, that's kind of where my train of thought is on some of this too. And the Steelers always, tend to bring in a veteran and then draft a guy. And I don't know, center. I think center or tackle. I think they'll look in. That the success, though, the rate between Mike Webster to Dermontti Dawson to Marquise Pouncey. I mean, you're talking first-round picks. And the only guys between there, they tried Mahan for a year, and then Jeff Hardings was more than suitable for the time he was there. I don't know if there's another Jeff Hardings that's out there that you could, then get some other stud somewhere else. We're assuming Dotson's going to plug in the one side. I think Dotson will be fine. I think DeCastro's still one of the top guys. Still didn't give up a whole lot this year, and you look at what else was around him. So you got to hope a core of 4 works out, or you even hope that he's back the following year, heading into the final year of his contract, and So yep. I think they look tackle also, and I know I'm getting a little more out into draft land needs there, but the reason is to kind of get off of the first-round pick has to be a running back. I guarantee you, and this is why it's not even necessarily making fun of fans, this is February right now. We said, what, the 22nd? We're going to revisit this topic in about 6 weeks, I bet. Because the Steelers may make some moves in free agency. Maybe they'll bring in some journeyman offensive lineman or something. Somebody else cut somebody. Maybe another running back. Maybe a D'Angelo Williams is on the pile, or even a Stephen Ridley or something, and on the pile, you know what I mean? Like, well, they're picking from the deck. There's certain guys, and they got to fit this all in under the cap. So it's not, I'm not necessarily saying they're going to shoot for the moon and get some high-priced free agent. But that's kind of where you're at with a running back, too. And you got to think ahead of some of the pieces, some of the guys they need to sign, and, what these contracts may evolve into. A first-round pick, with even doing a fifth-year option on a guy for a fifth-round or a first-round pick for a fifth-year option is going to be pretty sky-high based on some of these inflated running back contracts. You got Christian McCaffrey. And how many of these guys are first-round picks, by the way? Even the guys who led the league in rushing last year. Let's go through some of this. Christian McCaffrey, these are the top-paid running backs in the NFL. I think I'm looking at full contract right now. Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, David Johnson, Delvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Kenyon Drake, Melvin Gordon, and then Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, and then Kareem Hunt's in here right now too. You go a little further, it's like Tariq Cohen, Todd Gurley, Duke Johnson with the Texans for whatever reason, I don't know. But I mean, it also goes to show you that there's a lot of guys on rookie contracts or lower deals. Gio Bernard, Tevin Coleman, James White, Latavius Murray, Jalen Richard, Matt Breida. And now you're getting down here, and then it's like, okay, there's Josh Jacobs is still over here, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Rashad Penny, Sony Michel, DeAndre Swift. Some of these guys are still, okay, they're lower on the salary rate now because they're still under those rookie deals, which haven't escalated a whole lot. But some of the top running backs – I saw Lamar Jackson's name in here, and I'm like, damn it, I don't want to. I respect him enough, and did coming out of college. I'm not going to call him just a running back that throws the ball. He runs an awful lot, so you got to throw him out of there. But he's one of the top. He's in the top 10 of rushing. But it's Aaron Jones who was. What was Aaron Jones, a third-round pick? David Montgomery, a third-round pick. James Robinson, completely undrafted by the Jaguars. And then Melvin Gordon didn't even hit 1,000 yards. He missed it by 14 yards. So most of these guys in the top 10 rushing performances of last season were taken in the third round or later or not at all. And if you go into the top 25, you got guys like Kenyon Drake, Kamara, Hunt, Antonio Gibson. What a great pick that was for the Redskins,
Yeah.
I think. David Johnson still hanging and banging there. Damian Harris. I said Devin Singletary. Oh, no, I didn't mention Devin Singletary yet. And they took Zach Moss, too. And then James Conner was still in this top 25 also. And then Gus Edwards, although the Ravens, the Ravens are the antithesis of the Steelers' idea. They do not pass the ball. They only run the ball. It's the complete polar opposite. So, I mean, there's a couple exceptions to the rule. Obviously, if you have Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb or you have McCaffrey or Zeke or somebody like that that's healthy, that's great. But for the most part, I'm thinking, unless they move back. I mean, you're looking at where they are. What's their second pick at? Like in the 40s?
55.
Is it really that far back? Yeah, I guess.
55.
32, 20, 50-something-ish. Because they made the postseason this year, so it's not as early as usual.
55.
So, I mean, that might not be a bad place to throw a dart if it's round 2. I totally trust their second-round picks with Kevin Colbert. He seems to hit it all the time and find extreme value no matter where they go. I'm just saying, first-round pick is extremely risky for – you know what, Brian? This might curl whatever little hairs you got left there. Some on your chinny chin. I would rather take a quarterback with the first-round pick than a running back. Yeah, I know. What do you think of that? I think he collapsed. Brian, you okay, bud? That's how far down I am. That's how far down I am on the right. Would you want to take Javonte Williams, 24th overall?
No.
You sure don't want Harris, 24th overall.
No, I don't. Look, in the insanity things, I've been taking a running back in the first round, but the reason is I have 5 first-round picks by the time I'm done trading everything else. So, I can do whatever I want, right? I've already built an entire new offensive line. So if I take Travis Etienne. If I'm gonna take a running back in the first round, it's not Najee Harris. It's probably Etienne, and I'm not taking him in the first round either. So, there's a good chance. I'm not going to be surprised if at this draft we start talking about the talking heads are like, how far will he fall? There's no running back taken in the first round. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? And and you have a shot at somebody in the second round. In that instance, I still, like I said, and I know Zach agrees with this. I like Javonte Williams. I like the fit for him. And if that guy is there in the second round, then maybe you take a stab at it. But I don't know what the Steelers are thinking. And this is going to be one of those years where it's going to be very difficult to figure out what they're thinking. This is the antithesis of the mock draft process because because you're basically everybody is throwing darts at boards because you don't know anything. You think you know based on your stupid analytics and your Chris Collinsworth PFF nonsense crap. and draft Twitter is just always so full of themselves, and I am not, because that's the whole point of mock draft insanity is to mock the mock drafts. But this year, with no combine, with very little insight as to what they're going to be doing and who they're looking at, and really going off of secondhand information best you can, you're just guessing. You have no idea what these teams are going to do. Probably the only team you know is that Jacksonville is going to take the kid from Clemson.
Maybe.
And that's if they don't trade out of the pick.
Yeah, or that. What do you think of that? Like something like what the 49ers did that. They slid back a pick or two and
I'd trade out of the pick.
Defensive tackle and maybe Urban Meyer's thinking he can get Fields still or something.
You can get one of those crazy deals where you get first round picks for the next 3 years or something, or 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I think is a good quarterback. I don't know. I still look at his skinny ass and think he's going to get killed.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. It's so hard to say. And they've got. I was just watching FCS football kicked off spring season. I got to watch my Youngstown State Penguins, not the Pittsburgh Penguins, lose to North Dakota State. And I mean, it's FCS football, so I'm like, oh man, quarterback play is just really rough for Youngstown. But that's a whole other story. But this is where Trey Lance came from, was North Dakota. So. Yeah. They're discussing him a little bit, and I remember watching him play, and there's people thinking he's top 15, maybe even top 10, and you're just who knows? I'm sure there's people who don't even know where North Dakota State is on a map. They can't even find the state.
I'm amazed at the lack of geographical knowledge of many people.
And not to throw my wife under a bus, but many years ago I gave her a blank U.S. map. We did like a thing on a bet, and I won't share the details of that. She got over like 30 of them right. I guess it's better than half.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
So, which Dakota is this or whatever, Now, state capitals don't get me going there. But anyways, I take a look at some of the rankings, and a lot of people, quarterback-driven league, there's going to be, 4 quarterbacks maybe in the first round, I think is a safe play there. Yeah. Obviously, you need guys to get after the quarterbacks. So there's going to be some edge rushers. You need guys that prevent that from happening. Yeah. So there's going to be some tackles, some premium tackles that are going to go. And then it's still the pass-happy league. So you're looking at defensive backs, primarily corners, because you can't teach speed or size or some of these other things. And there may be a couple wide receivers. It depends if a team already has their house in order on one side of the ball or whatnot. What I'm not seeing is how far down is this? Is this the CBS Sports ranking? They got Etienne in ranked 20th overall here. I was trying to see how many guys they have. Harris goes all the way down to 41. This is overall prospects, all positions. And then your next guy is Michael Carter, North Carolina, 55. And let me see, where else am I going? And then Javonte Williams, his teammate at 66. Let's see. Kenneth Gainwell. Do we have to mention Zach Adonia? Did you see his tweet?
Adonia, yes, I saw his tweet. It was very funny. He's been on fire lately. I'll give him that. His tweeting game has stepped up lately. And I'll give him credit for that.
Let's share the joke with everyone else.
Yes.
Kenneth Gainwell. His name literally translates to positive yards.
Positive yards, yes. I gain well.
That would be a good nickname for him. But you're almost getting out. Jarrett Patterson, Buffalo. Let's see. Ramondre Stevenson, Oklahoma. And then Kylan Hill, Mississippi State. That's rounding out. You're talking 98 and 102 there between the Oklahoma and Mississippi
where they have
State
our
guys.
boy Trey. Where do they have Trey?
Where's Sermon? That's a good question. If I had to guess, he's got to be next on this. No, Chuba Hubbard, Oklahoma State 121. Felton from UCLA 139. You know what? They don't have Sermon on here. Oh, no, here he is. I overlooked him. I'm sorry. He was 116. I must have hit it was right before Hubbard. So I must have just hit the button one too many times. So 116. That's getting you about into the third round, buddy.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, you are. Absolutely.
So, I mean, when you're getting all the way out to where we don't have comp picks completely figured out, I think, just yet. And then there's also some of these draft picks for the minority hire thing that's going to play in now with third rounds or whatever. So then you get all kind of extra picks. But the traditional draft here kicks out to about 95 picks at the bottom end of the third round. And as you look, that's pick 95. Some of the guys that are ranked, it's not going to go all like this. So, I mean, Sermon could go 20 picks higher into the 90s. But, that's a guy that, we watch the Buckeyes, and that's a guy. He doesn't have a whole lot, I think, there to look at, but at the same time, what little there is, and you're talking third round or whatever, look at Connor. Connor was hurt a lot in college, too. I would take a stab, personally. And I don't mind a lot of these other picks, and I'm not the big NFL draft scout here, but this is about where I'd feel comfortable somewhere within this realm. The Steelers are pick 87 here without any type of compensatory picks, which I think we believe they may have one coming their direction for sure. So,
they may, yeah. I would take it. I mean, I get it. Somebody else commented on this when I posted one of my tweets with my lead up to Mock Draft Insanity podcast, and they were like, "Oh, no, don't take Trey Sermon, injury problems." Well, like you just said, James Conner had injury problems too. But if you're investing in the third round, you take a stab. That's things just drop off after that. First three rounds are guys that you hope to contribute. When you get down to the third round, you're talking about guys who, they're right on the cusp. You know what I mean? Maybe they pay off and maybe they don't. And once you get past that, it's just, now you're just stabbing.
Well, let's paint the picture a little more if we haven't already and completely collected our thoughts here. You take a running back in the first round and then there's injury problems there. That's hurting you in other spots, maybe where you're not getting the next center, the center of the future that could anchor, like you said, the defense or the offensive line. For a decade, or a tackle, same difference. I mean,
that's the way I look at it. Your first round pick. If you're a team, right, that is in position, set everywhere else, fine. You got the luxury to go ahead and draft a running back in the first round if that's the need that you have. It's not the Steelers right now. They got other needs that are bigger needs in my view. So what you're looking at is what's my payoff down the road. A first round pick right now, do I want to invest in a guy that maybe has 3 solid years? Because running back's lifespan is just not that long. And if they pay off, that's when they usually pay off. Derrick Henry aside, like I said, he's the exception that proves the rule where he's gotten better. Most of them come out of the gates, maybe they're good, and then they start to fall off. I mean, and you can talk about that with all of them. Zeke, Saquon, whoever, because they start getting beat up. All right. And it's a position that takes a lot of damage. And I get it, but that's just, hey, you choose to be a running back. That's what you're going to get. So you got guys that take a guard, that may be 8 to 10 years. Take a tackle, like maybe if it's a solid pick, that's a guy 8 to 10 years. You take a quarterback, maybe if you hit right, that's 18 years. You could be set. Where am I going to be set the best? Wide receivers are the same way,
I was thinking of the 18. I'm like, well,
that's because of Ben.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm going on the upside there. Maybe you get a franchise guy that could be there for a very long time. Wide receivers sort of in the same boat, but a longer lifespan because they take less contact for the most part. DBs, same way. That's just the way it goes. The guys that are going to take the most abuse are running backs. They're going to take the most damage, and they have the least lifespan, the shortest lifespan in the NFL. It's not a guy you want to take with a first-round pick.
Yeah, and
especially when you can find somebody that's going to be just as adequate later on.
We were just talking Super Bowl here. I mean, the teams that have been in it, Kansas City, I mean, I know they went CEH, but I mean, that's the reason they picked up Bell. They had LaShawn McCoy. We talked about this McCoy.
Yeah, that was a great pickup for them, wasn't it? That Bell pickup. Oh, boy. He contributed a lot.
Yeah, they're playing Darrell Williams instead, Yeah, and then I keep forgetting the guy. They seem to almost have like the same name. I forget who opted out now. But they had another guy that Bell won't be there next year. Needless to say, but
he may be nowhere next year.
Yeah, the opt out that was part of the CEH pick, and I think they had for the most part a luxury. I think if they went offensive line, they might be regretting it now. But I do realize they had some injuries, and that attributed to what happened in the Super Bowl. But
Oh, yeah.
Tampa Bay, really no different there with the platoon of running backs as well. Let's see. The Eagles a few years ago, committee also. The Patriots, always a committee. The Falcons also had a committee. They had Freeman and Coleman. You can name all the guys the Patriots have had, James White or LeGarrette Blount or, one of these random fullbacks that they get, or Sony Michel or Shane Vereen, Stephen Ridley, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. The list goes on and on. They've been doing the
Tony the
thing.
pizza guy.
Yeah, him. Steve Belichick. Oh no, that's defensive quality control, whatever. I don't even know that his real name is Steve, but it's his kid. He gets a paycheck. So
Yeah.
I guess when you're around that long and you have that much hardware, you got that kind of stroke. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
but yeah, my point is that it doesn't preclude winning. I mean, even the Ravens, Ingram, Edwards, and Dobbins. I mean, they realize they're a run heavy team and they need many guys, and that's where somebody's going to be like, here. I think that's where we're at also with the Steelers. They're going to say you still need somebody else. I think Benny Snell has shown he's capable of being a 100-yard rusher. I don't think Benny Snell has shown. Well, yeah, Brian, but you put him in for 5 snaps, and 3 of those are carries straight up the middle in short yardage situations. That's not doing that guy any favors. But he's done it, though. That's the point. He's done it. And if the line doesn't sucketh, he could probably still do it. Do I want him to be the only guy? No. But I think Anthony McFarland factors into that, too. And if you bring in a draft pick in like a 3rd round or 4th round or somebody like that, let's say it is Trey Sermon, I think they're set up just fine. The real problem is will Mike Tomlin go away from the bell cow type style that he's done for the last decade? He used to have it when they had
Don't see it happening.
Willie Parker. It didn't work when they had guys like Baron Batch and Isaac Redman, and so he's been stuck with that. But then again, for all of that, it was practically Mendenhall got his knee tore up, and then it was Bell had too. But still, even when it wasn't Bell, it was always one guy, D'Angelo Williams or whoever ends up, James Conner, whoever ends up filling that role. It's always going to be that one guy. And if that one guy is Benny Snell for a game or two, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think everyone's just thinking,
no.
You get, yeah. I'm not saying definitely roll into 2021 with a training camp. And I'm going to keep saying combine figuratively too, by the way. They're doing all the pro days and stuff. It's a whole different thing, but combine's just easier to say than guys going out to wherever in Oklahoma to look at them running shorts instead of Indianapolis, where they're all there in shorts in one collective spot. But anyways, just to clarify, when I throw the word out, somebody's going to say there's no combine, Joe. I know, figuratively in my head, I'm just saying it is combine season. That's going to be something. There's going to be nonstop coverage of that too, every single day. You're not just going to have one day where you're. I don't know. I don't really watch it either. It's a background noise, It's like, okay, that guy ran fast.
Big giant guys run fast and go, how the hell is that 50 billion pound guy running that fast?
Yeah, that's quite amazing.
I do it sometimes for that. But
yeah. Well, hold on. Guys running fast. John Ross. Just look at that. Just look at that as your scenario. The Bengals take him, fastest guy in the draft, and what has that gotten them?
Woohoo! It was really helpful, wasn't it?
Yeah, wide receiver or running
nothing.
back. Yeah, same thing, and they still can't get some of these other guys. Like Mixon can't stay healthy or produce sometimes.
Yeah,
too,
running again.
It's terrible.
I like to watch them run fast, but that doesn't mean I'm going to draft them because they run fast. You need more than that. Like, and I have to preface my turning away from you on the Benny Snell stuff, saying. I think Benny Snell certainly has earned the right to be the backup and be that guy. I just don't think he's a featured back. I don't think he can do that. I don't think you can't roll with Benny Snell as your main guy. That's my point. I think I would love to be wrong, but I don't think I am. With all respect to our Kentucky fanboy in the group. I know. I don't think Benny Snell can be that guy. So
speaking of, that was 2 years in a row we went down or up or whatever for him, I guess, to Cincinnati, and both times he was able to wear his Benny Snell jersey. Being the University of Kentucky guy, he was the guy playing the majority of the snaps both games. That's pretty cool. And ironically, it was also Ryan Finley, whatever his name is. I try not to say. I know I can't poke much fun at the Bengals because of what happened in that game, so I got no room to talk right now. It's like I just shake my head,
Nope,
when
that
you do
was
spot,
bad.
when you do spot, I'm gonna do one of those Steve Irwin things. It's like, crikey, mate, there he is in his wild habitat, the rare Cincinnati Bengals fan. Look at him. He looks quite depressed. He doesn't even want to eat his meal or drink.
Hey, some Bengals guy on Twitter today said, I think I need to become a Steelers fan because at least they talk to me and give me more love than my Bengals fans do.
That's so bad. I do feel bad. They're going to get new uniforms apparently too. So I don't know how much longer we'll make fun of all these teams. I think that's a lot of things that set in here is the panic mode. Also, is you see Cleveland gets Baker Mayfield, Baltimore gets Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow goes to the Bengals. You got all these Heisman guys. Whoever said Heisman guys pan out to have these Hall of Fame careers? Nobody. Not often. And we'll see. I'm still not okay.
We'll see how many Super Bowls that trio manages to get.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you want odds? My money's on Burrow getting one. The rest of them, I don't think they ever will.
Yeah, I thought Burrow had a pretty respectable rookie year before he.
So do I. I mean, I
crushed.
like Joe Burrow. How could I not? He was an Ohio State guy at one point. So I got to have some love in my heart for Joe Burrow. Well, he's sort of dead to me. He's a Bengal now. But it's not as dead for some reason. That's not as dead to me. Obviously, it's not as dead to me as J.K. But it isn't even as dead to me as Zeke was when he went to the Cowboys. It's just I don't know. The Bengals are like. They're dead to me, but it's like I don't hate them as much. I don't know why.
Well, Brian, I think we're up against it here. I don't know how much more we could bang the drum, and I guess we'll see.
Yes.
Obviously we'll see here in the near future, but usually when we start, brainstorming. I'm having a brain fart instead of a brainstorm, but we start brainstorming about draft stuff in February. A lot of that gets turned upside down come free agency. But the Steelers, I don't know. They're pretty easy team to read their hand on what they're going to do, and we know what their needs are. Yeah, they'll surprise us. Eric Ebron, that was a surprise for sure last year. Even Derek Watt was a surprise, and people will still say, well, they got to use the fullback more. Matt Canada will use the fullback more. There aren't very many teams using a fullback or that type of style. I mean, I can name maybe like one other fullback in the entire league.
Teams.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Kyle Juszczyk. That's about it. That's only because he played for the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll say this last thing. This is you want the scenario where I'll take a running back in the first round. Here's the scenario: every tackle that I want is gone, and ATN is still on the board. That's it. That's the only chance you got.
I wouldn't hate now. I'm going to sound like I'm backpedaling tremendously, and I don't know. 24. We're going to get the comments too. We haven't even discussed this, and I think you did enough of it in the insanity, including trading with the Ravens, who will never I don't think trade with the Steelers, especially at the top of the draft, and then the Seahawks. Yeah, that's more plausible. They give away picks. That's what they do.
The Rams
Patriots
tried to give away everything. That was the funniest part to me. The Rams, they don't have a number one anymore, but they're like, we don't want to draft in 2022. Let's just give away everything else. I mean, I already did, but I started that draft giving everything away. So
Mike Ditka in New Orleans for Ricky Williams. Yeah.
But my goal was I'm going to give away everything, and I'm going to get more back in return. And I did. I had, 4 first-round picks for 2022? Hey, yeah. I'll take it.
How are you going to pay all those guys when it comes up? That's what I'm waiting to see with Cleveland.
It's all stupid. I didn't say this is not GM insanity. This is mock draft insanity. I can't actually make this real.
Yeah, I understand, man. Well, I guess I don't know, man. At 24, what I was going to say was somebody's going to inevitably say, well, you just trade back, but there's got to be value there. There's got to be some player that one of the other teams wants to jump up and grab and have a demand for, and also have the draft capital to do. The Steelers did that a few years ago with Devin Bush, and they found a willing trade partner with the Broncos. So, that's kind of scenario. You say scenario, I'll say scenario. That could happen, but I don't rest my laurels on that. Your draft insanity I don't think teams are going to be constantly on the phone swapping out picks just to move up a couple of spots. Maybe if they want to get back into the first round, maybe they think maybe Mac Jones is there. Oh, this will be the greats. Here, this is what we'll end on. You're coming up on like pick 22 and 23, and Mac Jones is there, and there's some people out there that really want Mac Jones to the Steelers first round. Basically, Mason Rudolph version 2 type scenario at this time.
But fatter.
Yeah.
You keep making fun of Ben for being fat. Go look at Doughboy.
Oh, God.
Come on.
I'm gonna completely lose it and just start cackling over here. But I'm saying Mac Jones is there, and it's like Paxton Lynch was there several years ago too, when it was the Artie Burns pick when they needed a cornerback. Oh no, just not that one. You know what I mean? Mac Jones would be there. Maybe somebody really prizes him, and they may even jump in front of Pittsburgh even to do it. They might think, no, there's somebody out there. There's suckers born every day, man.
I'm sure there is. I'm just laughing my ass off because somebody looked at that picture and went, yeah, that's my man right there. That's my quarterback. That's my franchise quarterback right there.
He's a generation too late and needs a cigar. Or he did have a cigar. Was it cigar?
He did have
champagne?
A cigar.
Yeah, okay.
Sitting there in his underpants with his belly hanging out and a big cigar in his mouth. Look, fine. You look like a 1960s quarterback. That's fine, but not now.
I was just thinking, though, it's like maybe that's the type of scenario where there's still a quarterback hanging around, and maybe there's a team that they feel at the bottom half of the draft might still be interested in a quarterback, though I doubt it. I think most of the teams are, these are all the playoff teams that already have a guy, or even the Packers, for that matter, just went and got another guy with Jordan Love last year. So, but I'm just saying, maybe it's somebody that jumps out of the second round back into the first round, offers up a little bit of capital, and you're still in the early second round, or Etienne or somebody could still fall into that spot, or you get one of the other guys we're talking about. Then I'm amicable to just
the tackle from Michigan is going to be there in the top of the second round.
Yeah,
and Mayfield. And so if you get the opportunity to move back and you can and get into the top part of the second round where you have a chance at that guy, and the rest of the tackles are gone when you're at 24, I do that before I take ATN. See, there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, you're still looking at Alex Leatherwood or some guys like that too. I mean,
he'll be gone before second.
Yeah, well, you never know. You never know is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, it's tough to say right now. Everybody's got their projections all over the place. You're going to have others that are saying Kyle Trask and things, and it's just like I know. I'm kicking the can down the road. We could be in quarterback hell.
Let me just say this:
we could be
in the mocks that I've done. Kyle Trask is there in the 5th. Get off the Kyle Trask bandwagon quickly.
Was that Brad Kaya that used to be one of the guys that was higher up in the draft and then ended up going 5th or 6th or something in reality? There's several guys like that. I mean, you even look to where Mason Rudolph was mocked in a lot of first rounds and then ended up being a third-round pick. And he was the very next guy taken. Lamar Jackson, I think, was the last guy in the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yes.
5 quarterbacks in the first round of that class. Nobody goes in the second round. And then the Steelers actually, did some wheeling dealing. Minimal to make sure that they secured Rudolph. He could have been a Bengal,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have hated that. I mean, who's to say? We don't know. But, yeah, speaking of speculation, I think we just did a whole heck of a lot of that, and there'll be more to come. But, I said I did make the comment about quarterback hell. You mentioned Kent Graham. He was meant to come in because Cordell might not have been working out. Cordell worked and then Cordell didn't. Cordell was hot and cold at times. Cordell Stewart, that is. And Cordell had a cannon of an arm, though, still. So, you could still think of that play. What was that, Colorado or Colorado State, the long bomb? That's his calling card right there from college.
Yep.
That play, like basically a Hail Mary. And then it's, maybe they're stuck with something like that. But then again, if you got a Cordell Stewart in the draft in 2021, you're going to be excited and think he's going to be better than what Cordell Stewart ended up being. And there's even times where Cordell Stewart still got them to they're in the postseason AFC title game.
Bad rap. I mean,
yeah.
Was he great? No. Was he very good? He was probably better than we thought he was going to be. If you haven't had a chance, and I know it's not us, but if you haven't had a chance to read the article he wrote on the Players Tribune, you should do it because it's really, really good. and it sums up a lot. You can read into that exactly how every player probably goes through these kind of up and downs in a lot of ways. And man, can you follow that kind of a roller coaster for people in Pittsburgh and from the draft on out. We love you when we love you, and when you stink, we hate you.
Well, I mean, that sounds exactly like Jeff Reed. When Jeff Reed was on the show, I'd like to talk to him again. In fact, I'd love to talk to Cordell. I know Cordell does.
Oh, absolutely.
He was doing work at least with NFL on their. He was like one of their main guys on. I think they have like a TuneIn podcast or a radio station, of which we're on TuneIn as well. But wherever you end up listening to us, we appreciate it. I think we'll put a bow on it right there, Brian. It's just. Nothing is ever black and white. I wish now I could remember, was it Neil Coulong maybe that said it? It might have been Neil, and you might have seen it too, where he was talking about everybody wants to line up the next guy. Well, the current guy's there. And it's very much a rarity.
Very much a rarity.
It's because something else crazy happens. Peyton Manning hurts his neck. And then they went like 2-14 or whatever that year when they didn't have Manning. And then they got Andrew Luck, and now they're soul searching again. Maybe Carson Wentz is going to be the guy after a year of Phillip Rivers and having Jacoby Brissett fill in for Luck. And, who's to say, you're not on the same roller coaster ride there. And I get Aaron Rodgers for Brett Favre, and they had to shove Favre out the window, and Rodgers got to sit for a few seasons. And I am not going to say the Saints have their guy already lined up. The Patriots obviously did not, and you don't even know that Jimmy G is the guy out in San Francisco.
No, you already got people that think they're going to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, you cannot predict the future with this stuff. Who would have known? We threw it out with Noah and myself last week that every quarterback from 2011 to 2016 or something. I think 2016
is off the team. Yeah,
isn't on the original
main team.
Yeah, isn't on the team that drafted them. That's absurd when you think about it. Maybe instead of running backs being devalued, maybe quarterbacks are way overvalued, and I don't see that.
There's no question about the fact that they're overvalued. I mean, they are, but that's a different topic for a different day. It's just, It's also that's the most important position on the team.
Well, obviously,
so it's going to be overvalued.
Obviously, but you can still get it done. And one more little tidbit, since I mentioned Youngstown State, North Dakota State, they didn't get spanked too bad. North Dakota State's almost always perennial national champion caliber team for those who don't follow the FCS. But Youngstown State has a quarterbacks coach that you may have heard of in the Steelers circles and AFC North. Maybe, do we go back as far as AFC Central? I think so. He did the Super Bowl shuffle. He was with the Browns and the Steelers. One Mike Tomczak. Showed up on the broadcast, and he's
former Buckeye.
He's throwing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's everything. So he comes even more full circle now, coaching the position over with the Penguins for me. So I mean, how about that, man? I almost forgot to mention that. So Big Ben's anniversary date for throwing the football, all these other things. It's kind of crazy how all that works together. Brian, I'm glad we were able to finally get back together and do this together.
Absolutely.
And hopefully,
I haven't said that in a while.
I'm looking around.
I had to get that absolutely in.
Yeah, the absolutely.
I haven't said the absolutely in a while. Absolutely.
I'm going to be. Hopefully, this is more than the few and far between, and we'll keep some people apprised of our programming as I start to pack up some things here, and I got a move coming. So. Maybe I'll be upgrading the digs, and it won't look nothing like your palatial place there with, of course, I don't even have that much stuff. You got like a warehouse, Steelers museum in your place, but
maybe, I don't know.
This is just, I was looking at it. I was looking at some of your stuff there on the back walls and stuff, and I'm like, I'm going to have some cool stuff up eventually when I get some time. So, but just so you know, we'll try and come to you as much as possible. I'll try not to talk too long just on my own self and get long-winded. Someone accused me of that just the other day. They're probably not listening any further into this program anyways. So, but if they are, it's like, hey, I'm sorry. No, I didn't think it was a big problem. We were rattling off some type of stats or had some type of train of thought. We all get there, and I'm just like, that kind of hurt my feelings, man. I like to talk. You like to talk. We like to get together.
I'll do another mock draft insanity sometime soon. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be a part of that or not. I'll be the guy.
You should be here. You should be a part of one.
I'm not. Maybe I will.
You should be.
I'm telling you.
Not that it's not bad to have Zach on it, but you should be a part of a mock draft insanity just so you can, explode.
That, my friend, can mean so many different things, and we're just going to leave it at that. So that's Brian with the potty mouth over there. My name's Joe, and until next time, we encourage everyone out there to like, comment, and subscribe. And you know what? We'll read some more of your comments here on the program as we've been doing, because some of them are actually good and are great comments, and I try not to ignore everyone here. Oh, and one last parting thought, too. The Terry Bradshaw bobblehead's coming out here soon. Pre-order, limited. Brian, you getting on that? That's from foco.com. Formerly Forever Collectibles. So if you're still tuning in here, check that out. You don't want to miss out on that. There's only like 200 some of them that are going to be available.
212, something like that?
Yeah, 212, 221, something in that ballpark. So it's like
I just do defensive bobbleheads. I don't do the offensive guys. But okay. But it's nice. I saw it. It's nice.
And it's kind of something too to see Terry putting his name and stuff on some stuff. You don't see that very often. You don't see a lot of Bradshaw jerseys or anything like that around Pittsburgh, as much as you think you should, because he's one of the all-time greats at the position, but he's also alienated himself in ways from the fan base as well. So maybe this is more of Terry kind of reining himself back in, showing up on the Titan or Jumbotrons or whatever at Heinz Field, and having a little bit of part of the team history instead of just always criticizing whoever he criticizes, everyone, but that comes with the territory of being a talking head in his post-career. He's done that for 30-some years now too. Since he's been a quarterback, he's been a talking head on TV and probably made a lot of money doing so. But anyways, that's Brian. My name's Joe. Until next time, check out the bobblehead, and we encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.